recorded. Then I'm going to pause it.
Okay. So, and you know, Mary Rios, our senior advocate in the Ontario area. So for those who don't know about DRC or Disability Rights California, you may have known us as Protection and Advocacy or PAI. We are a nonprofit agency. We were founded in 1978. We are federally mandated to provide legal services for people with disabilities. We have offices in Sacramento, Los Angeles, Bay, San Diego. Our smaller offices are in Fresno, Modesto, and Ontario. So some of the issues we work on could be anything from special education, regional center services, government benefit, housing, employment discrimination, reasonable accommodation, mental health services, and so forth. So at this point, I'll turn it over to our senior attorney who will talk to you about Medi-Cal fee-for-services for today. Thank you, everyone, and welcome.
Hi, everyone. So we're here again. Today, we're going to talk about Medi-Cal fee-for-service and managed care appeals. They're two different systems of appeal. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to go to the California Department of Social Services State Fair Hearings website. Right, actually CDS, this is Department of Healthcare Services, although you can, yes, it's not CDSS, it's DHCS. So this, and you're gonna have this link in the training material. So when you appeal a Medi-Cal denial or termination or reduction of service, you're gonna actually reach out to the State Fair Hearings Division within the California Department of Social Services. And if you would go to the California Department of Social Services, you could find State Fair Hearings Division and find similar information. So if you hit how to file a hearing request, it'll tell you how to file a hearing request. And it takes you right to the California Department of Social Services. And it says that you have, and we're going to talk about fee-for-service right now. Remember, fee-for-service Medi-Cal is where you can go to any Medi-Cal provider anywhere in California, doesn't matter, versus managed care, where you're part of a managed care plan and you have a primary care doctor, you have a network. So that we're going to talk about later. Right now we're talking about fee-for-service. But so for fee-for-service, you've got the notice of action will tell you how much time you have to appeal. And for fee-for-service, before it was 90 days, but during the COVID emergency, it was extended another 120 days. So you have actually 210 days to appeal a notice of action. Mary, can we go back to see Department of Healthcare Services? Yeah, so if you scroll and it says right here, you've got another 120 days for a total of 210 days. But there's something that's really important here, and it says right before your hearing rights, it says your benefits will continue pending review, aid paid pending, if you request a hearing within 10 days of having received the notice of action. That's really important. And you ask for aid paid pending, meaning that nothing will change until you either settle with Medi-Cal or you go to a hearing and you win the hearing. So really important to know. And the notice of action will actually tell you how to request a hearing also. You can do it by phone, you can call it in. If you're going to call in a hearing and they don't give you a case number right away, I would say call back in a couple of days and ask for that case number. That to me signifies that they got it there's a case number, and I don't have to worry about, you know, the statute of limitations for filing an appeal. That's just the way I do it, because I want to make sure that things are done. I've been doing this for 20 years, and sometimes, you know, you get surprised. You think that you did it, and then it, you know, they can't find the information. So it's really important to verify that the State Fair Hearings actually has your appeal by requesting the case number. And you can scroll down. This website also tells you how to do it, how to file for a fair hearing. You can scroll down a little more. Accessing your personal health information, and also filing a discrimination complaint with the Office of Civil Rights. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the presentation. So let me share. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. Okay. So for fee for service, the link that we were on right now is that link right above. Notice of action is the document that tells you what what's going to happen. Now, I have a question for you guys. If I'm told over the phone that a service is going to be denied, and I don't get a notice of action at all, I don't get anything in writing, can I appeal that denial? You can put it in chat, your answer. So, Lonnie, are there any answers?
No, nothing yet.
Okay. Okay. Well, you don't have to receive a notice of action in order to appeal. What you would do is you would call the State Fair Hearings Office, and you would appeal the oral denial or termination or reduction of a service, and say that you did not receive a written notice, and that you're also asking for any aid paid pending. So no, you don't need to get a notice. The law requires a notice, but I've seen it before where the client doesn't get a notice, and people don't know that you can appeal without a notice. And so months and months go by, perhaps, before they call us and they realize that they could have appealed a long time ago. So just information for you guys. Typically 90 days, you have 90 days to appeal from the date of the notice, but if you want aid paid pending, make sure that you appeal within 10 days of receiving the notice and you ask for aid paid pending. That's really important. So when anyone comes to you with a notice, you want to look for, especially if it's something that a service they've had before, because you can't ask for aid paid pending for a new service that's been requested, but if the service is going to be terminated, reduced in any way, then there's the possibility of aid paid pending. So that is really important. And you file your appeal with the State Fair Hearings Division within the California Department of Social Services. Remember in our last training about managed care, there are county operated health systems. There are different models. We've got the 2-plan model, the geographic managed care model. We've got the county operated health systems. All of them except for one, Health Plan of San Mateo, are not within the jurisdiction of the Department of Managed Health Care. So if you have any complaints about these counties, you can't access what we're going to talk about with the Department of Managed Health Care later on. You just have to go directly to the Department of Health Care Services. You can also call, remember the Ombudsman's office that we discussed last time? You can contact them if you have any problems with your coast counties. So, let's move on to the next one. So we're going to talk about Mimi. So Mimi, she lives in San Diego County, and she is in a geographic model county, because San Diego and Sacramento are the only counties that have that kind of model managed care. And that's where Department of Healthcare Services contracts with multiple commercial plans in a single county. And she has Molina as her Medi-Cal Managed Care plan. She's had it for the last 3 years. Her network provider is CareX, and I made that one up, but let's just call it CareX. And her primary care doctor is Dr. Trusty. And she goes to Dr. Trusty because she's been having some stomach issues, more than the normal, and she wants to see a specialist. So she talks more to Dr. Trusty about her condition, and he agrees that she should see a specialist, and prescribes a visit to the specialist. So what does Molina do? So the doctor submits the prescription and the request for Mimi to go see the specialist. And Mimi, remember, is in a managed care plan. We're no longer in fee for service. So Mimi gets what is called an adverse benefit determination, or it's called an ABD. And that determination is dated April 1st. And it denies her consultation with the doctor specialist because they say it's not medically necessary. Of course, Mimi's upset because she continues to have these stomach issues. And by the way, Dr. Trusty has given her medication in the past, has done a bunch of diagnostic tests, and nothing has shown up. So you can understand why she would be upset. So she reads the adverse benefit determination, and it says that she has 60 days after she received it to appeal with Molina. Now, notice how different this is from when you're in fee for service. When you're in fee for service, you automatically appeal to the State Fair Hearings Office. You're now asking for a hearing, but that's not the case with managed care. Mimi has to, she has to get an adverse benefit determination, and then she has to appeal. And it's not an appeal to the State Fair Hearings Office. It's an appeal to Molina. So, so she submits her appeal to Molina, and the same day, because she wants to get this over with. Now Molina has 5 days from receipt of the appeal to provide a written acknowledgement saying, we received your appeal, you'll hear from us. And generally Molina, any managed care plan, Medi-Cal Managed Care plan, has generally 30 days to reply to the appeal. And if Mimi doesn't hear from Molina within 30 days, it's considered a denial. And Mimi can then go directly and file for a fair hearing. Now, if Mimi's condition got really bad, she could ask for an expedited appeal, perhaps, and Molina would have to respond within 72 hours, and they might be able to get an extension for more time. So just really important to note that the first appeal with a managed care plan is not to it's not with the State Fair Hearings Office. It's with Molina, and it's called an appeal. I know it's confusing, but this is the way they did it. So let's see what happens after that. So how does Molina respond to Mimi's appeal, right? Appeal of the adverse benefit determination. So on April 26th, this is within the 30 days that Molina has to respond to the appeal. Mimi gets a notice of appeal resolution, and they call it a NAR, N-A-R, and they deny her appeal. Now, of course, Mimi's upset. She's getting even angrier at this point. Now, had the appeal been successful, then Molina would have had to provide the service within 72 hours. So what does Mimi do? She reads the notice of appeal resolution, and it says several things that are of interest. First, she can appeal to the State Fair Hearings Office. Normally, she would have 120 days. Now, notice how different that is from the fee-for-service appeal. In the fee-for-service appeal, you only have 90 days to appeal. But when you have a Medi-Cal Managed Care plan, you have 120 days. But it's been extended another 120 days during the COVID emergency. So it's 240 days to appeal from the date of the NAR. No one ever wants to wait that long. I mean, Mimi doesn't want to wait until, you know, the 239th day to appeal. She wants to appeal right away. So that's what she's going to do. But the other thing that the NAR says is that it gives her information about the Department of, actually it should Department, I need to change that, Department of Managed Health Care. And of the possibility of asking for what is called an independent medical review, or they say IMR. If you're in a coast county and you're in health plan of San Mateo, it's the only managed care plan coast county model that has allowed the Department of Managed Healthcare to have jurisdiction over it. The other coast counties not. So Mimi appeals right away. And she appeals with she calls the State Fair Hearings Office and asks for an appeal. So what happens next? Okay, so Mimi's now really upset and she wants to talk to her doctor about, I don't know, speeding up the process, doing something because time has gone by, nothing's getting better. So she calls Dr. Trusty's office and the receptionist answers the phone and Mimi tells her what's going on and wants to talk to the doctor, and the receptionist says to Mimi, you know, he's busy right now, and Mimi starts to get upset. Then the receptionist starts to get rude, in Mimi's opinion, and nothing happens with the call, and Mimi's really upset at the way she was treated by the receptionist. Mimi looks at the Molina website and sees that you can file a complaint, or what they call a grievance, with Molina. So that's what she does. She files a complaint. And Molina's going to have about the treatment that she had with the receptionist. And Molina's going to have 30 days to resolve the complaint or the grievance. And it has to send Mimi an acknowledgement that they received the grievance or complaint within 5 days. They acknowledge it within 4 days, and Mimi gets that letter. And then Mimi gets another letter 20 days later saying, you know, we investigated the matter, and, you know, we've spoken to the receptionist, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. It's resolved in what Mimi feels to be favorable to her. And she's happy, and therefore that's the end of the grievance. Now, had the grievance with Molina not been successful, then Mimi could have filed a grievance with the Department of Managed Healthcare. And usually the Department of Managed Healthcare will want you to file a grievance first with your managed care plan, and wait the 30 days before you go to it. Of course, if there's imminent threat of health, or your request for an experimental or investigational service is denied, you don't have to do that, but they generally do want you to try to go first through your managed care plan with your grievance. So now what do we have going on? We have a request for a state fair hearing, and Mimi's waiting for, the date and time for her fair hearing. She filed it way ahead of the deadline, so there's no issue with that. But she started to think about that independent medical review, and about 30 days after getting the NAR, she reads it again. And then she calls the Department of Managed Healthcare to find out more about an IMR. And she's told that you can ask for an independent medical review within 6 months of receiving the NAR. And the reasons for filing an independent medical review are because your managed care plan said that what you asked for was not medically necessary, or said that they're not going to cover this experimental or investigational treatment, or refused to pay emergency or urgent treatment that you received. Those are the reasons that allow you to file for an independent medical review. So what happened in Mimi's case? Why did they deny her seeing a specialist? Because they said that it wasn't medically necessary. So Mimi can file for an independent medical review, and she does. Now, sometimes people ask for an independent medical review without really knowing the grounds for filing one. And if the Department of Managed Healthcare gets a request for an independent medical review and it's really not within the purview of an independent medical review, then the Department of Managed Healthcare will treat it as a complaint and will resolve it through the complaint process. Now, the Department of Managed Healthcare has 45 days to decide the independent medical review, but if in your, you have to fill out a form, and we're going to look at when we go to the Department of Managed Healthcare website. If Mimi felt that it was really urgent, she could put urgent and request that the IMR be expedited. This is really important because I don't think not everyone will understand that even if you request an independent medical review, the time to file your state fair hearing continues to run. It doesn't stop while you're having the independent medical review. The good thing about an independent medical review is that the Department of Managed Healthcare has 45 days to decide. And typically you have in the pre-COVID days, you had 120 days to file for your fair hearing, which allows you to file for an IMR, and yet at the same time you can file for a fair hearing. And your IMR will hopefully be resolved before you have to go to hearing. Now, what happens if you file for a fair hearing at the same time that you file your IMR, and you get your hearing request and you haven't heard about the IMR, the resolution? Well, you can always call the Fair Hearings Office and continue your hearing. The first time you continue the hearing, they're just going to want to know why you're doing it, and you could just say you're you've requested an independent medical review, you haven't heard anything, and you're just, it may resolve the issue. And they'll continue the hearing. But every time you want to continue a hearing, like the second or third time, you're going to have a really good reason for continuing the hearings. So the other way to do this is that you file for the independent medical review, you wait for the result, and then you decide to file for a fair hearing, because you still have time. But what you really want to do is calendar all of this, because you don't want to miss any deadlines. The other thing to know is that if you've already gone to a fair hearing, you can't request an independent medical review. So I just want to stop here to see if anyone has any questions so far. This independent medical review, by the way, more than 60% of independent medical reviews requests turn out favorable. In other words, Department of Managed Healthcare found for the person who filed the IMR. And that's a really good percentage. I represented a young child, and children and young adults under the age of 21 get these extra services under EPSDT, early periodic screening, diagnostic, and treatment. And so the managed care plan was denying a service, and so because they said it wasn't medically necessary, so we filed for an IMR. And I actually got a call from an attorney at the Department of Managed Healthcare. She just wanted to know more about EPSDT, because she wasn't, she just wanted to be educated so that they could understand the issue. And the IMR is actually done by a health professional, a doctor, someone. If they're contractors and independent contractors who Department of Managed Healthcare works with to give an unbiased opinion as to whether something is medically necessary, for example. But are there any questions so far about what's been happening to Mimi in the process?
Nothing
no
on the
questions.
chat. Oh.
Thanks. Going back to Mimi's complaint and grievance, you can go to the Department of Managed Healthcare with all kinds of issues regarding your managed care plan. You see a bunch of stuff here, like complaints against the doctor, the plan, continuity of care issues, delays in care. That's a big one. Copay disputes, cancellation of coverage, billing issues, etc. And you have 180 days from the time from the act, the event that happened, to file your grievance. I called, and if you're not quite sure whether it's an issue for the Department of Managed Healthcare to look at as a grievance or a complaint, call them up, call the helpline. They've got a helpline, and you can call them up and say, look, this is the issue I'm having with the managed care plan. Can I file a grievance or complaint? And they'll help you. They're really helpful. I would encourage you guys to have your consumers call or family call, or you guys call to try to resolve issues or file complaints. So what does the Department of Managed Healthcare do with Mimi's independent medical review request? They assign it to a doctor to review the file. And 15 days after filing the IMR, Mimi receives a response saying that the visit to the specialist is medically necessary. So first time now that Mimi's happy. So what does Mimi do next? Well, she's got to wait for Melina to do something, right? And Molina has to do something. When the IMR is favorable, Molina has to provide the service. That's the end of the story. So because Molina now has to allow her to see a specialist, and I think the time for Molina to act is very short, like within 72 hours, something like that. They have to provide the service. And so there's another thing that Mimi needs to do. Once she's got her appointment with her doctor, she should call the State Fair Hearings Office and take the hearing off calendar, because in the meantime, there's this hearing out there that's waiting to happen. But she shouldn't take the hearing off calendar until she's secured, the consultation with the specialist. Or she gets something from Molina saying we're going to be setting up the consultation with the doctor within the time required. So those are the things that are going to happen. And if the IMR is not successful, what can Mimi do? She of course can go ahead with the State Fair hearings. But she's got this decision out there that says that the consultation with the specialist is not medically necessary. She's going to have to work with her doctor to come up with a report and documentation to show that it is in fact medically necessary. So Molina is going to say no. Her doctor hopefully will work with her and continue to support her. And some resources. We've got a publication on everything I've gone through here. There's an all-plan letter. All-plan letters are letters that are sent to managed care organizations, Medi-Cal Managed Care organizations in California. And this all-plan letter talks about this change to the appeal process, where you have to get an adverse benefit determination, and then you get the NAR, and at that point, then you can file for a fair hearing. That change, all of that came about in 2017. So this all-plan letter was sent to all of the Medi-Cal Managed Care plans, letting them know of this new process and the new forms they were going to have to send out. They were going to have to revamp their forms, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, because we're actually going to go to the Department of Managed Healthcare website. So this is the website for the Department of Managed Healthcare. The help center is this big green thing right here, 800-888-466-2219. Really important. They could be very helpful. And on the left-hand side, it says file a complaint. So Mary, if you can just click that. And file a complaint. So you can find out more about filing a complaint and an independent medical review. On the right-hand side are the forms, how to file a complaint with your health plan, etc. Frequently asked questions. So I thought I'd show you this so that you could see what it looks like. And yeah, there you go. Like I said, they're really helpful. I've always found them to be helpful in my experience, but I don't know if any of you have ever contacted the Department of Managed Healthcare. It's a shame that those coast counties, except for Health Plan of San Mateo, are not within the jurisdiction of the Department of Managed Healthcare, because when you're under the jurisdiction of the Department of Managed Healthcare, you've got, you've got this other entity that can help. You've got the ability to have an independent medical review if the issue is relevant. Like, if your managed care plan says that your service is not medically necessary, that's a really important tool for getting your issue resolved. Excuse me. So we've come to the end of the presentation. Are there any questions?
Feel free to unmute or type it in the chat.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, please do unmute yourselves.
So the takeaway with fee-for-service versus managed care appeals are that with fee-for-service, your appeal is directly to the State Fair Hearings Office. You have 90 days to appeal. With managed care, you first have to appeal to your managed care plan. Then you have to receive a notice of appeal resolution. And if you're not happy with that, you can go to fair hearing, ask for a state fair hearing. At the same time, if your managed care plan is within the jurisdiction of the Department of Managed Healthcare, you can, possibly, depending on your issue, ask for an independent medical review. And you can also complain not only to the health plan about the health plan, but you can also complain about the health plan to the Department of Managed Healthcare.
Maria, the example that you gave, Mimi's case. For a case like that, in your experience, how long does the whole process take place?
Okay, so you have advanced beneficiary, you've got 30 days there, and then another 30, and then you have at least, if you don't do any expedited, you have at least 60 days trying to resolve it with, between the advanced benefit determination and the NAR, 60 days. And then if you file for a fair hearing, right now, there are no in-person hearings. It's either by phone or under special circumstances, you can ask for a video hearing, and they're just backlogged. So if you have to file for a fair hearing, it could take a really long time. It could take months, to get a hearing.
Oh, wow.
I mean, a while, you're a while with your managed care plan, and then you're a while with the state fair hearings. So it could take 3, 4, 5 months to get to a hearing, perhaps, if it's not expedited. If you file for an independent medical review, it's going to result, if it's favorable, it's going to be done in less than 45 days. So I would say, if you can file for an IMR, let's say that they're denied it for reasons of medical necessity, I would file for an IMR right away with the Department of Managed Healthcare, because within 45 days, it's, they're going to come back with an answer. Now I'm risking it too, right? They may come back and say, we agree, it's not medically necessary, but I would take my chances. You can always ask for an expedited hearing, but you've got to have a really good reason to ask for an expedited hearing. So this is taking months. Yeah. In the meantime, the clients may be without, and, it's looking
Yeah.
at resources for what they need, right?
Yeah. Anyway, any questions from the attendees? Please unmute yourselves. And then DRC will send me a copy of the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I have to do a couple of edits, but
Yeah,
Bonnie, before you send it out, because I
yeah.
noticed.
And the
Hi.
recording, I want to let everyone know, will also be available through our Alta's LMS system. We don't have a YouTube account, so we can't make it available
Okay,
through the website. It's because it's like the last one is 2 hours. I think this is probably this is
That is-
about an hour. Yeah.
Oh, Helen, this is Maisie. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
I have a question with dental appeals. Are they the same as do you go through the same process as these that we just mentioned here?
don't know actually, but if, let me just do something. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna Denti-Cal appeals. Let's see. Medi-Cal fair hearing. Let's see. Hold on a minute.
That's an interesting question,
It's
Lacey.
an interesting question. It's a Medi-Cal program, the dental
Yeah.
program. And hold on, let me do this here. Appeals. I've never had a dental case. Hold on a minute. The appeals process. Okay.
It probably is similar, but
With the state fair hearings, let me confirm that. I don't want to take your time.
yeah.
So Denti-Cal, yeah. It just, because it's a Medi-Cal program, most likely, unless if there's something strange about it, will be with state fair hearings, but I will confirm that.
All right.
Because Denti-Cal is not it's carved out of managed care. So, yeah, I'll have to look at that. It's a good question.
Thank you, Marie.
Thank you. Denti-Cal.
Any other question for Maria?
Okay.
Yeah. Maisie, I think Identical is probably a system by itself and should be a separate training. If that is a need, I think we can do that. But I know that there are. I used to attend this whole Dentical meetings with many providers where they talk about Dentical services. So I think it should be a separate training.
Yeah, although I think that it's going to be with state fair hearings for the appeal. Yeah, and it's just a separate system. So I agree that it would be a separate training, but I think the hearing would be with state fair hearings, but it's just a different way of, because it's not a managed care benefit.
Yeah.
It's just that I know that I've had families where they have a dental issue and, they wait for months and months to hear back, to get an approval, to get a denial. And then when they do, they wait even longer. And I just feel like these families, they have nowhere to go. I just feel like they don't know enough about the system
Yeah.
to maneuver and to get resources. And for us too, I mean, like for us who provide services and resources, we don't know enough about it either,
Yeah.
to give them, you know, a direction as to where to go. And so I feel like these families, they are often, they feel they fall through the cracks, and they just don't get services that they should be getting in a
Yeah.
timely manner.
So listen to this. This is interesting. So Medi-Cal in California, two different systems. There's a fee-for-service system, and there's a dental managed care system. It's not within the Medi-Cal Managed Care that we've been talking about, but a
Yeah,
different
it's
dental
different.
managed care only in Los Angeles County and Sacramento County. And there's a link to all of this that I'm going to put in the chat right now. And let's just put the link here. I'm going to put it in chat. And each system may have its own appeal. Let's see. Frequently asked questions. Yeah, so I hit the fee for service Medi-Cal program, and they don't really talk about appeals, but I'm sure that there are. I'll find out under both systems how the appeal works, but that's that link that I just put there in chat will take you to the two systems. And if I put in appeal, let's see. There's something here. Oh, gosh. Okay. Sending your forms. So first level of appeal state hearings. Okay. Yeah, no, this looks like it's its own system. So what I can do for you guys is just tell you, look, for fee for service Medi-Cal, this is the appeal process. And for the two managed care systems in LA and the other county, it's you appeal this way. Yeah, this is different. Okay. Great.
Yeah. Well, I think if that is a need, which I think is a need, because I know that we pay a lot of dental services too at Alta, that may be a resource worth also looking at and see if we can find some resources that can provide us a training on Medi-Cal as well. Yeah. But thank you so much for your time today, Maria, Mary, and Lonnie. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you sharing this information and the knowledge. Let's see.
You're welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Helen.
All right. So it looks like there are no more questions. So that will be the end of our training.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.